Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for another Soul Driven interview. Today, we've got a unique show, something a little bit different for you. So, the person that I was supposed to interview for this week unfortunately had to cancel last minute. So, I decided to do something fun and different with one of my favorite people. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to my partner, Carlos Fonseca-Rodriguez. We've been together for 4 years. In fact, we'll be celebrating our anniversary in September. Yay! Today, we're going to be talking about navigating the pandemic as a couple. We're going to play a little game and share what has worked, what hasn't, and a few other things. Welcome to the show, Carlos. It's fun to have you here.
Hey, it's fun to be here. Thank you. Thank you for your sweet intro. You did a really good job.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's so weird to have you here. And I know you're like in a different part of the house.
Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely a little bit weird, but I think it's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah. Well, it feels a little strange for me too. But the more we keep talking, the easier it'll feel.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, so let's dive in. The first question I ask all of my guests, what makes you soul driven?
All right, so soul driven to me is just taking the time to really get to know yourself as an individual, to really learn about what you like, what you dislike, your strengths, your weaknesses, your passions, and then ultimately your purpose. And then going at full force with that purpose and just doing the things that you want to do in this life that are gonna eventually gonna make you enjoy life and live an authentic life. That's what soul driven is to me.
I love that. And because I live with you, I get to see that actually played out in your life. I think
Yeah.
that's something that you've rubbed off on me as well, just in regards of, you know, putting the effort in on yourself. I know that when we first met, I was all about that because, of course, when you're single, it's easy. But you get caught up and lost once you get into relationships sometimes. But I know that seeing you really dig into taking care of yourself has definitely been an inspiration for me too.
Nice. Well, I'm happy to hear that. And yeah, I've definitely noticed the change in the last couple of years, just putting the work in terms of getting to know myself better, just try and be myself at all times. It just feels really good to be authentic. So
Yeah. No use being anyone else.
there's only one of you.
There's
Be
only
proud
one of
about it.
you. So before we kind of dive into today's show, I wanted Carlos to share a little bit about his background. So if you could share with us like where you're from, what you do, maybe something that's embarrassing, whatever you feel comfortable with.
All right, I've been practicing, so I think I got some good stuff to share. So I'll start with the obvious. I'm from Honduras. I was born there, 1990 at 3:32. I can't remember the exact time, but yeah. So I'm from Honduras. Lived there for 10 years. Moved to Raleigh when I was 10, and then ended up here in Wilmington. I've been here in Wilmington for 12 years. In terms of my profession, right now I am a personal banker with BB&T, now Truist. That I'm so used to saying that every time I answer the phone, BB&T, now Truist. So, but now we're Truist. Apart from that, I really enjoy playing soccer. I played it my whole life, and I love watching it. The teams that I support are Barcelona and Liverpool. In fact, Liverpool played today, the Community Shield tournament. That's just one game, but we lost in penalties, so that was a little upsetting. Um, apart from that, I really enjoy being active, working out, going for runs, playing racquetball, lifting weights. My favorite color is black. And then a unique fact about me is that I'm extremely ticklish. And you know that very well.
Yes, it is what evens the playing field in our relationship, and I'm so grateful for it.
Take advantage of that.
Well, otherwise I wouldn't stand a chance. You're a lot taller and bigger than me, so I'd kind of be in trouble.
Yeah, you definitely used it to your advantage.
As I should, as is smart.
It makes both of us laugh, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good thing. Okay, so before we kind of dive into talking about the pandemic, I just want to provide a little bit of a disclaimer and just kind of state the obvious that we are not relationship professionals. We do not have it all figured out. Both Carlos and I are dedicated to our personal growth. And that, of course, has been an important and very dynamic component in our relationship. We have interesting ways of handling things within our relationship, and we wanted to share some of those things with you. Some may be useful, some maybe not, but just kind of an upfront that we're still on the journey. We're far from perfect. Yeah, so that's about it on the disclaimer. So in regards to like what it is that we're going to do today, basically I typed up 10 questions that both Carlos and I have looked at in our own personal time, so we don't know what the other person's going to say. And then I added in 2 extra like secret questions. So these questions have been cut up and like curled up into little balls. Carlos has half of them, I have the other half. And so we're just gonna kind of take turns and answer questions and kind of bring things back and forth between us. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Let's get ready to rumble.
Awesome.
Like the intro to like a game, or like a match.
Yeah. I want that kind of corny music in my podcast sometimes, but then I don't really. Okay, so I put mine in a hat so I could like shake it around. And Carlos has his.
I have my what do you call this? It's a jar. It's a jelly jar.
Jelly jar. All right.
Yeah, jelly jar.
So you're my guest. So how about you go first?
Yes, I will go first. All right, let's see. The first question is, what elements of our relationship made the lockdown easier? Is that a question that you will answer, or do I answer?
We're both going to answer it.
First, though. Who's going to answer it first?
You go first.
All right. So what elements of our relationship made the lockdown easier? I would say the honest communication that we try to implement in our relationship, especially with the lockdown, with the pandemic, just any concerns that we may have, individually, things that may be stressing us out. I think we've both done a good job at sharing those and communicating and just being real and honest with one another. That way the other partner knows how the other partner is feeling and how we can help.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, I think that's a good point. Um, Carlos and I, we kind of definitely really focus on honesty and being honest with each other. I know at one point in time during the lockdown, Carlos's mother wanted to come visit, and we both wanted to see her very much. But I was concerned about doing that. I just wasn't ready to welcome someone into our home yet. And that was a really difficult conversation for us to have because, you know, family is extremely important to Carlos. And both of us had just been looking at each other for a couple of months. And I think, you know, having her come would have been wonderful. But I had to be honest about where I was at and how I felt about it. And Carlos was honest about how he received that information. And of course, at first he really didn't like it. And we just had to talk through it and find a good place. But you have anything to add to that? I felt like that was a good example.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great example. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely like upset because I wanted to see my mom. Definitely missed her. Um, and, you know, that was really the first moment when I noticed the pandemic and social distancing affecting me, not being able to see my mom. So it definitely made it more real and just frustrating and upsetting. But you know, eventually I did understood why that was important to do, and yeah, we talked it out and found a happy spot. So that approach can be taken with any really topic, any theme, just to both share how we each feel honestly, put it out on the table, and then work it out, talk about it, and compromise and reach a happy spot.
Yeah, we handled that one particularly well too, because I think both of us gave each other space to feel how we felt. Like when you got upset, I wasn't trying to make you not feel upset. I told you I understood, you know, why you
Yeah,
were so upset versus being like, why are you so mad? Why, you know, like anything like that. Um,
yeah, and that was definitely very helpful because you made me feel like you you understood where I was coming from, um, and obviously it was not malicious intent from your part. You were just thinking about our safety and my mom's safety too. So
yeah, yeah. And just to kind of reiterate for folks, probably something I should have pointed out in the beginning is that Carlos works at a 9 to 5 for BB&T. I know you shared that, but so in the midst of the pandemic, Carlos continued going to work every day because they're deemed essential workers. Whereas, you know, I work from home and I continued working from home. And so in a lot of ways, our life, especially for the first month or two, didn't feel like there was really a lot that was different because we were still, you know, he was going to work and I was going to work in my, you know, semi way. Typically, I like to go to a co-working place or to a coffee shop as well, but nonetheless, I'm used to working from home. So that was, yeah, I think that was, like you said, like when you started realizing, like, wow, this is affecting me too.
yeah,
So my answer for what elements of our relationship made the lockdown easier, I really thought that our love, our like nerdy love of scheduling provided some normality in the midst of so much chaos. So kind of like our work, like I just mentioned, the fact that that didn't change. Carlos and I also do something really unique with our schedule, and in that we have throughout the week, we have dedicated personal nights. We have dedicated nights when we're together. And we have dedicated days for certain things, like on Saturday, we go grocery shopping. On Sunday, we prepare for the week and we cook. And We have a date night, which we've not been doing great at. But those kinds of things, like the fact that we have this sort of schedule in place did provide some bit of normality for me in the midst of so many different things being unpredictable.
Yeah, yeah. That I think having that sense of normalcy is definitely helpful, especially when there's so much chaos going on, and who knows what the virus was at that moment. So having that normal routine definitely brings a sense of comfort, just knowing what we're doing every week and every day.
Yeah. I think too, it's always nice to like make less decisions, so you could put energy elsewhere. And especially in, I would say the first, maybe even like the second month of lockdown was really when my energy was starting to crash. And then, so not having to think like, okay, what are we doing today? Or what are we doing tomorrow? Or anything like that. Like having some sort of a structure already in place was helpful.
Yeah, yeah. And apart from the pandemic, I think that's always been helpful in our relationship, having that structure, especially because I would consider us both ambitious people. So having that schedule in place gives us tools to better manage our time and schedule out tasks during the week and during the day, just so we can maximize our time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that a lot of our friends are often quite blown away by and want to incorporate into their own lives, because that way it makes it very easy for us to kind of schedule in the things that we want to do without having to be like, oh, well, let me check first to see if Carlos is going to want to do anything with me that night or anything like that. It's like, okay, I know Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights are my own, and I can make my own plans, and we always communicate with each other what it is that we're doing, but it just makes it easier.
Yeah. Should we share our routines so people have an idea of what exactly that is, just so they can have an example?
Sure. How about you share?
All right, I'll share. So it starts with, I guess, Sunday, since we plan for the week. Just Sunday morning till about noonish. We have some time together and we plan for the week.
It's our church time.
Church time, and then at that point, around noon, we kind of go on our own ways and do our tasks that we have to do individually. But then Monday, the personal night, we meet about 8:30. Tuesday, we meet at 6 and just spend time together. Wednesday, again, personal night. Thursday, supposed to be date night. Again, we meet at 6, and then Friday, we meet about 9 or 10. And then Saturday, we kind of just split the day in half. Typically, we meet at 3 o'clock, and that's when we go grocery shopping, and then we just hang out after that. But it's definitely important to mention that there's flexibility in that. It's not set in stone. If things come up, or if we need to rearrange, but that way we know we have time for ourselves, but also to spend time with each other, especially since that's your love language, quality time.
Yes, yes, it is. I'd like to trade if that's possible. Okay, I'm gonna take a question.
All right, that's right. It's your turn.
I was hoping you would get that extra question, but
You got it.
no, I did just see a number though.
Oh, I see.
Ooh. What did you learn, or what did I learn about you during the pandemic?
All right, what you learn?
Well, I learned that you are a true homebody. So Carlos and I both like being at home. We're both homebodies, but this pandemic definitely showed me that he is a legit homebody. Like he might, be fine if we were in lockdown for forever. As long as he could see his family and like closest friends, he'd be good. I would go crazy. I am not
Yeah,
on that level.
yeah, I agree with that 100%. No shame, just who I am, comes natural. I think I'm definitely an introvert, even though I can have the ability to do extrovert activities on a daily basis. But yeah, I just enjoy being home. And, a good example is these last 3 weeks after my surgery, I barely went out, and I haven't had much trouble in terms of getting frustrated by being locked in the house, not seeing friends, that kind of stuff. Even though I know that's important, to have relationships and build relationships, and something that I've been working on. Um, but I think ultimately, I would be okay if pandemic and being locked down be months or years.
You Virgo, you.
That's a good one. All right, it's my turn. What did I learn about my queen? And this is something that's really recent. So I've known that you are not a morning person, but recently I've learned that you also need your space, personal space, in the mornings. And you did a good job sharing that last week or this week, I can't remember. Um, how it takes longer for you to wake up, and also just our differences. I'm definitely a morning person, and as soon as I wake up, I'm ready to get going with my day and start being all up in your face with some hugs and kisses. And I just know that I gotta give you that space, and not to take it personal. So what I've been doing is just saying, "Hey, good morning," and that's it. And keeping my distance until it's safe to approach.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I don't know what happened. It was last week. And so, one of the things that has happened in the midst of the pandemic is Carlos and I also typically are very, before the pandemic, we're very strict about our like schedule. So, we would make sure that like we were in bed and sleeping like lights off by 10, and then we got up at 5 a.m. And very early on in the pandemic, I started needing more sleep. And so I started sleeping in and he would get up. And what I started realizing immediately is that when I would get up and it was quiet, it was like, oh my gosh, I love this. It was so nice. I just really, really enjoyed it. But it really wasn't until just like very recently where I realized it was like, wait a minute, this is what I love. This is literally who I've always been too. But I was adapting for my relationship. And I mean, Carlos wakes up and he's like chatty Cathy and he's like, oh, more. And I'm just like, and I can usually, like I can usually go with it. But it's not who I really am. It's just not. I I actually had, if this tells you anything, which thank the Lord it's not that bad anymore. But back in the day, I had a boyfriend who would like pick me up in the morning when I'd wake up and like take me out and put me on the couch. And he would like bring me my coffee and I would like sit there and watch a bit of show, whatever the case may be. And he 100% waited for me to talk to him. And that's who I was, like when I was younger, but somewhere along the way, that's kind of getting back to the honesty thing that we were talking about before. I mean, I just need time to wake up. I dream very intensely and I need that break. And so being able to recognize that within myself and then asking for it, I just think these are really important things to do in a relationship. And thankfully, Carlos has getting better with it. He's still forgetting a little bit, but that's okay. It's definitely kind of a switch. So,
Yeah. I'm sure it's not going to be like that every single morning. Like today, you as soon as you woke up, you started giving me hugs and kisses. So I was happy about that because I need my hugs and kisses every morning.
Sometimes it'll work. Sometimes I'm just like, I've been in the middle of a very intense dream and I don't know if I'm really in this world or still in that world. And I need where it's just like rage. I just wake up, want to rage. Okay.
Yeah. Those are not fun mornings, but it's who you are, and I accept you as you are.
But if I get quiet time in the morning, then the upside is you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. That's true.
Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, just the fact that I don't have to deal with you in the morning. Is that what you mean?
Well, like if I wake up in a really bad mood, and you're just giving me space, and then you're not taking it personally, and you're not like trying to have a conversation with me, and I'm like yelling or
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I prefer that than having to feel your rage.
Yeah. Ugh, I would
And I can just come talk to you once you're all happy and lovable. All right. Next question. Dun dun dun.
444.
Ooh, 444. Make a wish.
That means the angels are with us.
All right, let's see. So, what is one area where we succeeded during the pandemic? What is one area where we succeeded during the pandemic? Is this the new one?
No. They're all numbered. Yeah, they're all numbered. 11 and 12 are the new ones.
Oh, okay. All right, so what is one area where we succeeded during the pandemic? Okay, I think we did a really good job working as a team. And a prime example of that is when the pandemic started, being that you have celiac disease in your asthma history, it made you a more vulnerable individual with the virus. So, we had that conversation, and at that point, I started doing all the grocery shopping, basically all the tasks, errands outside of the house. I can't remember, for a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, because we didn't want you to be out in the streets. We didn't know much about the virus at that time, so that is what I would say is teamwork. Just knowing that sometimes you gotta give more than taking in, and then on the other hand, you did the same for me. You have been doing the same for me since I had my surgery. I haven't been able to drive and do much stuff around the house, and you stepped it up and did a lot of things for me. Sam went grocery shopping, you helped maintain the house, did errands for me, that kind of stuff. So I think we've done a really good job teamwork and being a team.
And just FYI, Carlos had ACL reconstruction surgery. So that is what we're referring to.
Yes, about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think that that's very true. I think that the pandemic has really pushed us to work more as a team than I think we did prior to that, just because of the circumstances. Both Carlos and I are very independent people, and we really like having our personal time. We really like doing things on our own pace. And so coming together as a team, working together as a team is something that we are continually like working on. So, but I think the constraints within the pandemic definitely pushed us to work together as a team more.
Yeah, and I think that's just part of any relationship. Patricia, one of my coaches that I had in the past, remember I shared with you, she shared with me that not every time is going to be 50-50. There's going to be times where one partner is going to have to give more than the other one, and vice versa. And I think just knowing that and expecting that and being open to doing that for each other really can be helpful for any relationship.
Yeah. Agreed.
What is yours?
Okay, what is one area where we succeeded during the pandemic? I had two answers here. And I think what I'm going to share is that we really learned how to accept each other more. And I think that I know for myself personally, I've gone through such a difficult time in the midst of this pandemic, emotionally and mentally, even physically. It's been very difficult for me and tough on me at different times. And I know that that has been difficult for you to see. And I know that at one point in time, I was really just falling apart. And I think that you're pretty used to me seeing me fix myself or have a plan. And, but I really felt at this point in time that I was just supposed to fall apart, and I was really supposed to surrender to that. And I know that that was very difficult for you to see in the beginning. But after we talked about it, I feel like you were just very supportive and really in my corner and willing to just let me be a wreck if that was what I needed to be.
Yeah. When did we talk about that? I can't remember. Did we talk about it before or after the fact? That's just what you had to go through. Can't remember. Probably after or before.
I think probably a little bit of both.
Mm.
A little bit of both. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just like, you being there for me and learning to accept that, and me also saying like, okay, you really are like a legit true homebody, and you don't need the same things that I do, in order to be happy. And me not feeling like, there's something wrong with you because of that, or like, oh my gosh, are we meant to be together or anything like that. It was just like, okay, this is who he is. And this is, the role he plays in this relationship. And that's it, and not really going too much deeper with it than, you know, getting lost in the fact that that is a difference between us. And that's just kind of something off the top of my head. But I feel like it's not, you know, I think we have plenty of room to grow in this area still, but I think that just this pandemic has really forced us to learn how to be like, okay, like to be better at not only seeing the other person like in their weaknesses or, well, my weaknesses, not yours so much, but you know, like for who we really are and or can be, and not judging each other for it, you know, or questioning our relationship or something.
Yeah, I think that's super important in our relationship, but in anyone's relationship. And what helps me is knowing that that's what I want from my partner, that they accept me for who I am. So I want to be able to give the same to you. Um, and just you communicating that definitely helps. Just sharing with me, okay, this is what I need. This is what I'm maybe going through or what I'm going to go through, and that just puts me in a better position because I can mentally prepare and I know what to expect. But my mentality is just to accept people for who they are because that's what I want from them. So
Cool. So I think that what I was thinking when I went to answer this last question is I think we should just like whoever polls the question should have to answer
answer
it. Yeah.
instead of going back and forth.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
instead of both of us answering it so we can get through these a little bit faster.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Because we'll definitely talk about them, but
Okay. What's
okay.
your turn?
Oh, that's right. Ah.
Surprise question. Surprise
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Ha.
You're going to love this one. What's one thing that annoyed you about me during the lockdown?
What's one thing that annoyed me about you in the lockdown?
Yeah.
All right. So what annoyed me about you?
Yeah. Maybe I have a habit or a character trait or something that just,
Oh, wait, I understand now. So I'm supposed to answer the question.
yeah.
I thought you, whoever picked the question, they had to answer it. Okay. Okay.
I may
So
have gotten
what?
that mixed up, but no, go ahead.
So what thing annoyed me about you during the pandemic? Hmm. What annoyed me about you? Probably, which I understand
You don't have to make
why.
excuses for me.
I understand why you were mentioning this, but you were definitely giving me pushback for seeing my family or spending time with them, like going to Raleigh and seeing them, and or them visiting us, or me going to see or spend time with one of my friends at their house. Just every time that I would mention it, you weren't like, yeah, go ahead and go spend time with them. You're always like, wait, I don't think this is smart. We gotta wait it out. So that was definitely frustrating. It's like I want to go see some other people, and you weren't comfortable with it. So that definitely was frustrating and annoying, but understandable.
Yeah, I think it's good that you bring that one up because I mean, you know, there's a real cultural difference between Carlos and I for sure. when it comes to family.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos is very close with his family. They're very close. Like when they come to visit, the whole crew arrives, and there's a lot of them. When we stopped, when we went through Raleigh and like stopped to have lunch with his family, like everybody shows up as uncle. And I mean, like, that's like not the case in my family. My family grew up working. Everyone was very independent. Family time was not a priority and those kinds of things. And so that is certainly something that we've had to really navigate in our relationship. And during this time was additionally hard because, how my family was responding to the lockdown was also very different from how Carlos's family was responding to the lockdown. So, and we all know that like the top 3 reasons for like divorce, and not that we're married, but family is one of those top 3. So that definitely wasn't easy for us to find some happy mediums. But I think it's good that you bring that up, because I'm sure that a lot of people dealt with that in different ways. Maybe it was their friends that they wanted to see, or something of that nature, with people who, weren't necessarily acting or like doing the same sorts of things to protect themselves as maybe you and I were, or your family is a lot more relaxed about those kinds of things. And so, but yeah, I can I definitely know that was not easy for you.
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating, but it was the right approach, and thankfully, none of our family members have gotten sick. Our immediate family members gotten sick.
Yeah, immediate.
So, so we did the right thing for sure.
Yes.
All right.
Your turn. Your turn.
My turn.
You have to smile at some point in time on this video too. I keep wanting to be like, smile, smile. As we can all see, Carlos is the serious one. He's actually really goofy though. You get him.
Once you get to know me.
Yeah.
Once you get into my heart. All right, so the next question is, what is one area where we failed during the pandemic?
I gotta answer this question.
Yes.
Okay. So I had 2 answers for this one as well.
Failed more than once?
Well, when I was going back through the questions and reading them after I had like written down an answer, I was like, oh, this one too. Because these were kind of intense questions. Who came up with them? Gosh.
You.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that making fun more of a priority during this time. It's an area where I would say it's our hardest area, but I think that like really in the midst of the pandemic, like we kind of let that go. Like we haven't had date night in a long time. And there's plenty of things where we could do that don't involve people and don't involve, like going in buildings, and where we could be creative. And I actually just put a post up about this the other day on Instagram, talking about us making fun a priority.
Yeah.
So this is okay, I'm going to share the other one because you might agree with the other one more. So okay. This second one is, we both got lazier.
Oh
Both
yeah.
put on a little bit of weight.
Oh, speak for yourself.
Ate snackier foods.
Yeah.
Didn't exercise as much. I remember seeing your
Yeah.
workout calendar now.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Especially, after the surgery and leading up to the surgery. Definitely.
Well, after the surgery doesn't count, obviously, but
Yeah. We're leading into it. Definitely got lazier. Lazier. Did I pronounce that right?
yeah.
Lazier. Lazier. Um, yeah, I would agree with both. For one of the other questions, that was one of my answers to just the fun part. Um, and also just finding ways to be more social as a couple too, which kind of goes in hand with being fun or having fun. But yeah, we definitely didn't take the time to be creative and find ways to still have fun, spend time together, just together and with friends. Whether it was through Zoom or uh, meeting somewhere, but still keeping our distance. We kind of just let that go. So I would agree with that.
Okay.
But now we know for the next time.
Hopefully there's no next time. Yeah, I guess we should share too, like where we're at in North Carolina. We're what, in phase 2? And uh, people are, they wear masks in the grocery store and some indoor buildings. Really just kind of depends. But I think things have neutralized here in North Carolina. So we definitely still have more cases coming in and those kinds of things, but it's not like growing exponentially like it was a couple of weeks ago. But either way, lockdown is not the answer. Okay, I'm gonna go. I feel like we're picking all like the serious questions or like the serious.
Oh Lord, what'd you pick?
What elements of our relationship made the lockdown harder?
Hmm. What elements of our relationship of the lockdown made our relationship harder? I think just our um, being, what is the word I'm looking for? Just our independence, individuality, that made it harder because we're both very independent. So sometimes we maybe decided on something without consulting with the other partner, or if we were feeling a certain way, stress about something, maybe not sharing that. So kind of, at least for me, that's what I can see, and kind of just getting lost in our own world. With the lockdown, with the pandemic, there was just more time, especially at the beginning, to ourselves. Since everything was closed, um, regulations to keep the social distance. I think that just provided us more time where we got lost in the things we had to do in our own world. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, so the thing that I found that was interesting about this question um, was almost that like some of the elements in our relationship that it was like every kind of element that I thought that in our relationship that made this harder, um, were often things that like in a little bit of a different situation made them easier. So it was like this weird like juxtaposition between like you know the fact that we're both homebodies. Like there's a pro and there's a negative to that, right? We can become too much of homebodies, but then at the same time the fact that we are homebodies is also like it saves us a lot of money. You know, it we end up spending more like quality time together, or whatever the case may be. You know, the fact that we love work, you know, has a pro and a negative, right? So it's like a lot of the things that I was really thinking about, I could flip around to be like, well, yeah, but this could also be a positive in a relationship. So it was just like an
Yeah.
interesting thing that I kind of came across when I was trying to answer this question.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I know at least with me, I'm worst at getting lost in my world. So being locked in the house, not spending time with anyone else, that kind of forced me a little bit more to just, all right, well, I am not able to see anyone else, just you really. So it pushed me to my world and the things I like to do or want to do, and kind of just jump into work because yeah, like you mentioned, we're both workaholics. So getting lost in that, it's never good. You definitely need some balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, your turn.
my turn. Can't forget a smile. Dun dun dun. This is a good one. What advice do you have for other couples in the midst of a pandemic?
Hmm. Well, this will come as no surprise. Make fun a priority, like probably number one. Like Carlos mentioned, and I know I mentioned, both of us really enjoy working. And so, really making fun a priority is something that we continually struggle with because we can just like get so lost in our world. And I mean, that's something that we enjoy sharing with each other too. So it's not like we're just doing that on our own. We really enjoy, like, you know, talking about business strategies or ideas or whatever the case may be. But really making fun a priority. I think over communication is huge. You know, just really letting each other know where you're at, how you're feeling, those kinds of things, even when it's uncomfortable. You know, being honest about what you need and what you want, and of course, what you don't want. Um, and then I think just having passion with the compassion, having patience. I was trying to say two things at one time. Having patience with each other and having compassion for your partner. You know, Carlos and I are different people, and we've both handled this, you know, the pandemic so differently and in our own ways. And I just think it's so important for us to remember that, you know, anyone outside, like we're all on our own path, and there's no right, there's no wrong way. We've all got to do it the way that we're doing it. And so really, you know, having compassion for someone else, and patience with them, I think is huge, you know, for our partners.
Good, good. Yeah, I would agree with that. And my answers were very similar. I said just being, knowing that you, well, being flexible and knowing that you'll have to adjust as an individual and as a couple. That things, are gonna have to change your normal routine. A lot of people are not able, or are still not able to go to the gym and work out. So changing that to a home workout has been definitely useful for me, and I'm sure for other people. And then the other one was just to work as a team and same, yeah, over communicate. You can't never over communicate too much. If you're over communicating, that's good. I know it can get like frustrating or like you're sharing too much or something like that. But I think ultimately over communicating will help solve and avoid problems.
Yes. And it does feel very awkward and very annoying sometimes. But Carlos and I call it front loading. And this is, I mean, something we've done in our relationship with like situations, like
Hmm.
if he's going out of town or, you know, like if we're going out of town or something like that, we're always like, okay, let's front load. And we try and talk about things that might bother us or that we might encounter. And like, you know, like, just like front loading, like if he's going out of town, like, okay, how many times are we going to talk on the phone? Do we need to talk on the phone every day? You know, like having those like conversations up front so that it just makes everything easier.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great tool. And I
Yeah.
think not just that, I think you can apply that to every situation. I know we do it too when my family comes, like what to expect, how we're gonna work as a team, what tasks are we gonna do, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
I think, you know, just like in relation to the pandemic, like there was no front loading that obviously. Well, I mean, you know, we might, who knows what we're going to be walking back into this winter or this fall slash winter, but I mean, this spring there was no front loading that, but just, you know, the fact that like we at least have kind of been in the, or like that's, I think, a great example of how awkward it can be to over communicate, right? Because it's like, do we really have to talk about this? You know, like, what if we go to the beach and your family wants to go do this thing that you don't want to do, you know, or whatever the case may be. And like, those can be weird conversations to have, but I definitely think it's so helpful. So then we're, you know, we're on the same page.
Yeah, I mean really the main purpose, just helping people set the expectations. People get upset when they don't know what's coming up or if they're surprised. But you take care of that by front loading.
Yeah,
Basically, put everything on the table, or at least try your best to do that.
it's a good habit. Okay, is it my
Yes.
question?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah. All right, I think we're just gonna both pick one question each again.
I have two more.
I have three. Okay. Speaking of, if we went into lockdown again, what would you do differently for yourself and in our relationship?
Hmm. So for myself, if I had this experience and then if for some other reason there's another pandemic in the future, what I would do differently is tell myself, all right, um, we're going into another pandemic. I've been through this before. I know what to expect. Basically, everything's going to shut down. And what I would do is really just get organized with the list, make a list of tasks, projects that I want to do, and and schedule it out so I can maximize my time and take advantage of just the things that I want to accomplish to help me move forward with my goals, get me closer to the type of person I want to be. Why are you laughing?
No, I there, that was like one of my responses for for that question too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had like a moment of like anxiety this morning when I was looking at the questions and I was thinking about that because I was like, oh, we wasted all of this time. Oh my gosh, we could have done all of these things. And then I like calmed down. I really started thinking about it. It was like, well, but we had no idea, like we didn't know if it was going to last a week or two. It's not, like we were just talking about with the front loading. It's not, we didn't know like, hey, this is going to be going on for like 4 or 5 months. So, get ready. We had no idea about that. So it gave me space for grace for us. And then I started calming down. I was like, okay. Type A, snap out of it. That wasn't possible. But, yeah, I think it's good to think about for next time.
Yeah.
So what about for us?
For us, we already kind of talked about it, but yeah, just taking the time to find different ways to spend time together and to have fun. Being creative. I think we did a little bit of that this pandemic.
We've gotten better at it with time. I mean, we're definitely doing better on the back end of it than we did, for the first, half, 3/4 of it. But
yeah, we what do we do that was different? We played some chess, no, some checkers. I won.
I got overly cocky is what happened.
Yeah, that was a fun match.
Yeah. I was like 3 ahead of you too.
Yeah, you're beating me.
Anyway.
Pretty good. So,
all right, next question.
Sore loser.
It's gonna happen again. We're playing again. Rematch is coming soon.
Hey, bring it. I'm ready for you.
Bring it.
So yeah, that's what I would have done differently for myself and for our relationship.
Good. I'm glad we're on the same page with, I think, both of those. So we can support each other in that and then, both work on bringing in the fun.
Yes. We did do something really fun, though. We did take that trip to the mountains in Virginia.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was just like I don't even know that I would call it fun. I would just say that was so needed and necessary and just, that was like a soothing balm. It was just like, oh my gosh, we took afternoon naps and went for just like quiet walks. And, we didn't do anything spectacular. And that's why it was so wonderful. We were elsewhere. And the weather was cooler and there was mountains and
Bonfires.
Yeah, the bonfire was awesome.
Grilling out.
All right,
It's all about nature. No, it's my turn.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Ha! This is one of the bonus questions. What is one thing about me you really appreciated during the lockdown?
I knew this was going to be easy once I got the other one. I think what I really appreciated about you is
Sexy body.
totally. My ability to like talk to you, how safe I feel talking to you about, when I was falling apart and things were really rough. And I know it took me a while to talk to you. That wasn't because, like I couldn't, it was just because I didn't understand myself, what was going on. But of course, as soon as I figured it out, like I was able to tell you immediately and I knew you'd be fine. I knew like, I just kind of feel like sometimes like there's probably not anything I could say that could, maybe unless it's about your family, that could actually, really freak you out or upset you or, you know, um, I really appreciate knowing that I could come to you and talk to you about things and feel heard.
Good. Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Cue the like, "Aw" sounds.
Oh, so sweet.
Aw.
Yeah, I obviously want to do that for you. And I think what helped me too is, and you shared it too, that just something that you're going to have to go through, but knowing that you going through that process, it's going to make you a better person, or you're going to come out of it, uh, how can I say it, just in a more elevated phase in your life, I guess. Just going through something like that, and it's going to help you grow. And I know that ultimately it's going to be good for you as an individual. And if you're doing good, then our relationship's going to be doing good too. That's what Mary said. Remember when I went and saw her, I think a couple of weeks ago, she said, if both partners are doing good individually, then the relationship's going to do good. If one partner's not doing well, then the relationship's going to suffer some. So definitely want you to be happy and and for you to maximize your growth and potential.
Yeah. And Mary is our couples therapist. So we've been seeing her for, well, we haven't been to see her in like 2 months, probably. She's been our couples therapist for like 6 months or something. I think last fall
Yeah,
is when we started going to see her.
yeah, since last year.
So Carlos and I, as we've kind of shared, we have differences, and we really wanted some outside help in regards to how to maneuver those differences, how to talk about them, and just to gain better tools for navigating communication within our relationship, because communication's always, ever evolving. Uh, could never be perfect at that.
Yeah, I think therapy, just in general, is really good for everyone. I think everyone should, at some point, go see someone and just talk about their issues, what they're going through. But as a couple, for sure, no shame. I remember before we went, I was like, "Ugh, it's such a drag in a way." Um, but it's been very helpful for us, so I highly recommend for every
When was it a
couple.
drag?
Right before we started, just like planning for it and and talking about it and saying, "Oh, just the act of going to see someone and talk about your feelings and emotions at first." I think I was definitely more comfortable with it as an individual, but as a couple, I'd never done that before. So I guess I just didn't know what to expect. Um, but happy that definitely made that decision, and that we were both open minded about it, because it's definitely helped us grow individually and as a couple. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about how well our relationship would have fared if we wouldn't have had all those months of going to couples therapy before the pandemic. I hadn't thought about that until just now. It's really interesting to think about, because we were having some problems when we started going. We were really struggling with communication, and going to see her and really being consistent with that and doing our best to start implementing the things that we learned. Honestly, I think that was huge. I don't know how well we would have done during the pandemic. I mean, like, have you thought about that?
Yeah. No, no.
That's kind of like a whoa thing
Yeah,
to
not
think
until
about.
now. Yeah. I'm pretty positive that that definitely prepared us for the pandemic. 'Cause I mean, I'm sure, I think you mentioned a couple of couples are just on Facebook or online, just seeing couples splitting during the pandemic. Um, and another thing I remember too is just, I think it's normal to have that thought of saying, oh, if we're having to go see a therapist or relationship is done, you know. Um, so just pushing that thought away and committing to going through that is definitely something that I'm thankful for.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever had any of those thoughts. Yeah, I probably did. Yeah, definitely did. Now it's coming back to me. And I was just like, oh, do we really need someone else's help to like talk to each other? Should it really be that difficult? Like, what is the
Yeah,
problem here? Why can't he just hear me? Why can't he just understand what I'm freaking saying? Like, what is the problem?
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so
Those thoughts, yeah, which is normal, but
yeah.
you gotta just push that stuff away and not even think about it. Just
Well, it's such a privilege to be able to go to a couples therapist. You know, like most couples don't even have that ability. And I know that, like, you know, when you and I started going, I didn't even have insurance. So thankfully, we were able to go because of your insurance, you know, and that's just
yeah,
not something everybody gets to do. Um,
yeah, that's a very good point. Because yeah, it's not cheap for sure.
Definitely not.
Especially if you go, you know, every other week. I mean, I can imagine going every week. It definitely adds up. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. We're definitely very blessed to have that opportunity.
So I think we are definitely at time to just go ahead and wrap up here.
No.
You're
Wait,
like,
I
I'm
gotta.
just getting loose.
Yeah, just getting loose. I'm
I've got,
surprised too. I have a fortune cookie from last night that I wanna. I have two, but because of the time, I'll just share one. See what kind of wisdom this fortune cookie provides. You never know who might need this message. All right, it says, how about another fortune? Secondfortune.com. Lucky numbers. No, I know that's not it. All right, this is
okay,
the
good.
message.
I was gonna say.
There is no time like the pleasant. There is no time like the pleasant. Is that a typo? Or maybe they translated it from Mandarin to English.
I don't know, but I think we should open up the other cookie.
Yeah, I agree.
I was hoping it wasn't gonna be something like that.
What in the
I,
world?
I
Yeah.
feel like it's been a while since I've gotten a good fortune.
There's no time like the pleasant. Yeah, that I can kind of see what it's trying to say, but not really.
Someone will message me about that on the podcast. They'll be like, "Hey, Anna, that's what this means." I'll be like, "Oh,
Ah, this is a good one. Sharing little joys offers great hope to others.
mmm."
Sharing little joys offers great hope to others. Yeah, I can see that. It's basically just spreading, sharing, and spreading positivity.
What we're doing right now.
Yeah, that can be very contagious.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Carlos. So I'm gonna do two lightning round questions with you.
Oh, okay. What is this? Just random questions?
You listen to my podcast. I do this with all of my guests.
Okay.
But I'm only going to give you two, and they're short answer. You ready?
Yes.
What is the one habit that you can't live without?
One habit that I cannot live without. I would say, I'm trying to think of all my habits. I would say, being fit, working out. Yeah, I think maybe like a few days I can go without, but if it's more than that, I just don't feel good, in the sense of not accomplishing, because that's one of the things I need every day. I need to have a sense of accomplishment, and I think working out in the mornings gives me that sense of accomplishment. It just makes me feel good and gives me energy as well. So that's one, or that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Number two, what does spirituality mean for you?
What does spirituality mean to me? Spirituality means to me just knowing that there's something greater than us, some grand presence. I don't know if that's the best word. Yeah, some grand being out there and connecting with that. So just knowing that there's something grand being out there, such as God, and just being able to connect with that in your own unique and individual way, or have your own unique relationship with that grand being.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Carlos. It has been such a pleasure.
Yeah, I've had fun. We should do this again.
Maybe we will. We'll have to think of another topic.
Yes, but no, thank you for hosting me. I can check it off my bucket list. Being a guest on a podcast. I think I'm gonna start doing this as a profession. It's fun. I enjoy it.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, thank you. You did an excellent job, as you have been with your previous episodes. And yeah, I'm excited for more episodes.
Awesome. All right. That wraps up today's episode. And now I'm curious, what did you learn today? Head over to our website via the link in our show notes and leave your comments on today's post, or find us on social media at Soul Driven Podcast. I'd love to hear from you. If you were inspired by today's message, please share this episode and leave a review on iTunes. Sign up for the email list to receive podcast updates and free tools only shared with that community. And don't forget, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. Until next week.
Love you.